Woke up this morning, feeling the vibe, got my headphones on, ready to thrive. Voices in my ear, lifting me high, upward bound podcast, reaching for the sky. Lessons learned from the deep and wise, personal growth like a sweet surprise. Tune in, turn it up, feel the spark, igniting the fire, lighting the dark.
Welcome to the Upward Bound podcast, where real conversations lead to real growth. My name is Ernie Kumos.
Hey, my name is Jeff Williamson. We're here to help you level up in your life, in your leadership, and your future.
With practical insights, honest conversations, and tools you can actually start applying today.
Ooh, yes.
I'm McIntosh, and as we say every time, let's go.
Let's go. Y'all, I'm so excited today. We have such an awesome guest, Mac Lake. Mac, he is such a great guy, means a lot to me, personally and our community. But just want to give you a heads up about Mac. He is a speaker. He's an author. He is the founder of Multiply Group. And this is where he helps leaders and organizations develop strategies to multiply their leadership impact. He's also a trainer and a leadership coach. He's very gifted in simplifying complex ideas into strategies anybody can implement into their personal life, their team, their organization. He has written 10 books, 10. Y'all, that's crazy. 10 books, but including the multiplication effect, super multiplier, and the discipling leaders series. And he's offering practical tools for leadership development. Mac and his wife, Cindy, they live in Charleston, South Carolina. Mac, welcome aboard here. Let's bring him in.
Let's go.
There he is.
Okay. Let's go. Join you guys today live. This is exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
This is so good. So good. So, Mac, we've all been taught on how to have conversations, right? And very few of us have been taught how to make somebody feel seen, right? And Mac, one of the concepts you've taught is what you call EQing a conversation. And, that's starting by encouraging somebody and then asking them a thoughtful question. It's kind of like, Dale Carnegie, remember their names, right? Yeah. It sounds simple, but it has the power to completely change relationships, leadership, and influence. So today we're going to unpack, how and why this makes such a difference. So we're so excited to have you again. Ernie, go for it here. Or sorry, Lynn.
Let's go.
I can't tell colors. I'm sorry.
I love it. Hey, this is live.
Take a minute, get to know yourselves first.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
this is live.
I know my name. I know my name, Lynn.
The queen.
We got this.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Hey, listen, Matt, before we really jump into EQ and conversation, listen, your reputation precedes you. I was talking to my friend Lenore. She's on the Maxwell High Capacity, and you shared over there. And so you spent decades developing leaders, which is exciting. And so what's one quality? I know there's so many qualities that you've consistently seen in people who naturally have that draw, or that mojo that draw people towards them, Mac. Talk to the audience. Talk to me, man, as a young man coming up. Give me some wisdom, Mac.
So many of us, when we're engaging with people, we're so focused on ourselves instead of the other person. We're so concerned about being likable that we forget to demonstrate that we like them. There was a survey done among high school students. What they did is they researched and they found the most popular high school students, and they asked themselves the question, what is it that makes them so popular? So they took that slice of popular students, slice of students that weren't so popular, and they asked them to write down the names of everybody they like. The popular students' list of names of people they like was much longer than the people who weren't as popular. And so what they learned from this is focus on the other person. Ask yourself, what is it I like about them? What is it that attracts me about to them? What is it that I admire about them? When my kids were young, I used to tell them all the time, don't worry about, focusing on you and getting people to like you. You just like them. And I promise you, you'll have more friends than you would ever want. Just focus on other people, get to know them, admire them. And then if you see something positive about them, say it, because not enough people get to hear those type of things.
Man, that is powerful, man. I just got the goosebumps. You see the goosebumps?
Yes.
Come on, man, for real, man. That is
I thought the hair on your head was standing.
That's right. That's right.
The men on this podcast, this is the reason I said yes to the podcast, because the men on this podcast have good haircuts. So.
That's right. That's right.
Come on, man.
And speaking of good haircuts, I know. Speaking of good haircuts, though, I mean, to your point, my wife, we'll be walking around, we'll be downtown, and she says, "Man, that lady, she's got great hair," or "I really like her top," or whatever. I'm like, "Tell her." Well, she's like, "Well, that'll be weird." I said, "You will make her day, I promise you.
Yes.
You'll make a new friend." And my wife, she's an introvert, but I'm like, "Baby, you got to tell that lady," and she does. And you can just see, just whatever's going on in that person's life, it kind of just melts.
Oh,
she
yeah.
said, "Well, thank you. It means a lot." So that's so strong.
And as John Maxwell famously always says, that we are people of value that add value to people, and that every day looking for ways, searching for ways to add value to people.
That's right.
That's right in alignment, man. And yeah, that's so good. That's almost a mic drop moment, Mac.
I mean, yeah.
There's so many people walking around that are lonely.
Yes.
And then there are even more people walking around who are wearing a label that they have put on themselves that makes them not like themselves.
Wow.
And so, man, when you begin to speak life into people, you begin to hold a mirror up to them and say, "Let me show you what I see in you." Man, it changes their demeanor. It begins to rip away that label that they put on themselves. And this is what I wish more bosses would do in the workplace.
That's right.
I promise you begin to speak life into people. You begin to catch them doing things right, as Ken Blanchard says. You begin to look at their strengths and speak into their strengths and speak into their potential and ask them about their dreams and ask them about their ambitions. And you get behind that and you try to lift that up. Oh, my goodness gracious. I promise you, your retention rate in your company is going to skyrocket because so few people lead that way.
Yeah, that's true definition of servant leadership, right? Is how can I serve you in that way? So, hey, Mac, the title of this episode is EQ the Conversation, the leadership skill that changes every relationship. And so you kind of touched on it a little bit, but can you kind of really make it practical? What does EQ mean? Like really define that, make it basic for us.
Yeah. So I came up with this when my son, Brandon, and many people may be aware of who Brandon is. Brandon is a recording artist. You may have heard his song Hard Fought Hallelujah or Gratitude. And so, he is a well-known recording artist. Well, back when he was 15 years old, he was just in love with leading worship and writing songs. But, he wasn't any good. He wasn't very good. But I saw his dream. And I was like, man, I want to pour fuel on that dream that my son has. And so we went to a church here in Charleston, Seacoast Church, that just had phenomenal musicians, phenomenal worship. And so I said, Brandon, if you really want to grow as a worship leader, as a guitarist, as a singer, here's what I want you to do. Every Sunday in church, I want you to sit there and I want you to look at everybody on that stage. Find somebody that's doing something you can learn from, okay, that week. So maybe it's a background singer, maybe it's the lead singer, maybe it's the guitarist, maybe it's the drummer, maybe it's the worship leader. What is it you're seeing? Catch them doing something right and go up to them afterwards. And I said, Brandon, I don't know what EQ means in music world. I know it's a term. I know it's something, but we're changing the definition for you, okay? What I want you to do is go immediately after the service, and I want you to EQ one person on that stage. Wow. Encourage them, tell them one thing you saw them doing well, and then say, can I ask you a question? And ask them one question. It'll take them 5 minutes. They will feel so honored. They will feel seen. Yes, they're older than you. But then what's going to happen is the encouragement is going to help them build relationship with you. Next time that you come up to them, they're going to go, hey, good to see you again. And then the question is going to gain wisdom from them. And so you're going to get connection and wisdom. Now, fast forward, 20 years later, whatever, he's very well-known artist. But what's fascinating, what is really, really fascinating, several people in his band who are 5 to 10 years older than him were on that stage and were the ones he was going to and EQing.
Wow.
It made connection, impression, and gave him wisdom. And that practice helped grow him in his leadership. We all need to be doing the same thing. There's somewhere you need to grow as a leader, somewhere you need to grow. Catch somebody that's further than you. They don't even have to be older than you. They're just better than you at something.
Yep.
And go and say, hey, man, I saw you doing this, and I want to encourage you. You are so good at this. Can I ask you a question? And this, if you really wanted to land, you said, man, can I ask you a question? I really want to learn from you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, so it's a CIW connection. What's the I and wisdom? What was the one I missed, Matt? Connection, encouragement, and wisdom. Is that what
I don't remember, but
this is recorded, so we will watch it again.
Yeah.
Connection and wisdom. Yep.
But that's so true. I mean, I think it was one of Maxwell's books, Everyone Communicates If You Connect. And, there's a story about, and it might have even been John that did this, where, he had just a whole host of questions, and he wasn't going to, really get into any of his own personal doings, but he went and spoke with somebody, or somebody spoke with somebody, and they just asked question after question after question. And, just was really intentional. And when that was over, whether it was a meal or a meeting or whatever it was, that person that was being asked those questions just said, man, this was such a great meeting. We really, connected well and all these different things, when the person didn't even know, and they didn't even ask any questions to John or whoever the other person was. But it's really, like I mentioned, Dale Carnegie, with How to Win Friends and Influence People. But it's just the idea that, when we take that time, when we talk to our server and they say, hey, my name is Rachel, and you remember Rachel is the one that's there, how much better the experiences are, and how much they feel seen and heard, and how they feel like Len had said, they feel that they are in fact valued, that there is something that's there. So, man, I just don't want to, go past it. That's so good.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is that that was John Wooten. And so John had the opportunity to sit with him for 1 hour. He knew he had one shot.
Yeah.
He made a list of 100 questions.
Yeah.
And he said, Coach Wooten, I want to respect your time. I've got a list of questions I would love to ask you and learn from you. I mean, I admire your leadership. And he pulled out his notebook and started asking the questions and taking notes. And he said, an hour went by, and Wooten goes, I got more time. Let's keep going. He said they went for 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. And at the end, Wooten looked at him and said, hey, I noticed you didn't get through all your questions. When do you want to get together again?
That's right.
Wow. That's so good.
Oh, yes.
That's so good. Yeah.
And Coach Wooten doesn't do that just everybody.
No, that's right. That's right.
John Maxwell back then.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So this is powerful. This is powerful as we think about that and look at questions to build relationships. Ernie,
I feel like I want to ask this question now.
Go ahead. Jump in, Ernie. Come on.
Yes, since we're talking about questions and building relationships, Max, so you often said great leaders ask great questions, just like an example that John Maxwell did. Why do questions reveal more than statements ever can?
Questions tend to get to people's emotion.
Yeah.
When you ask a question, so like if you're on stage and you're speaking and you ask a question, the brain can't help it. It has to answer it. So that's why you'll see a lot of great communicators when they're on stage. They'll ask questions. Nobody's answering. They are in their head. And so questions engage people. Questions make people think. It makes them be in a deeper level of engagement with you. And so, and it makes them feel valued. Man, you're either asking me for my opinion, or you're asking to get to know me better. And both of those things feel good. And so this is why questions are so important when you're engaging in a relationship. It makes it a two-way relationship instead of a one-way. Cindy and I, we went out with a couple one time, a long time ago, and we love this couple. We're like, oh my gosh, this is a great couple. We're so excited about going to dinner with them. And we went to dinner with them, had a 2-hour dinner. We really did. We had a great time. But when we got in the car, we were like, man, I'm exhausted. Are you exhausted? He said, yeah. It was great, but we asked questions for 2 hours, and they didn't ask us one question, not one. And so we enjoyed them. We laughed. We would ask questions about their past, about their work, about their kids, and they would answer, and we would sit and we would laugh and we would talk and we would just keep asking questions. But throughout the night, it was like hitting a tennis ball against a wall instead of to another player. Wow. And it was just really a one-way conversation.
Yeah. Wow. We'll call them Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We'll keep them anonymous.
Mr. and Mrs. Williams. Yeah. Oh, no.
That's right.
It was not just.
I love that. And it's true. And with that being said, too, asking questions, Mac, does that build or deepen trust in some level?
Oh, yeah, it deepens trust for sure, because now I'm asking and you're giving, and so I'm in essence saying, I'm inviting you to give me feedback. I'm inviting you to give me answers. And anytime you're inviting someone in closer, that increases trust. That's one reason that many leaders have struggled leading their team, because they've not built trust. And it's because they're not inviting them closer. I might ask you questions about work, but I'm not asking you questions about you. And the other thing, it's just that we have to be aware of. It's not just me getting to know you, it's allowing you to get to know me. And so some leaders are like, no, man, you got to keep your distance from your people that you lead. And I totally disagree with that. Yeah. It's when Jesus first started his relationship with some of his key leaders.
That's right.
He spent a whole afternoon. They were like, who in the world are you? And he said, why don't you come and see? The first time they ever met him, he said, come and spent a whole afternoon with them, and did a 3-day trip with them. He invited them, say, yeah, come get to know me, but I want to get to know you as well.
So good.
Yes.
And it's almost like, we're going to talk about one of the podcasts for like 4 seconds that we're going to be doing here in the future, but it's going to be about communication. And the best level of communicating is adaptive learning. And it's just kind of putting our own egos aside and just recognizing that I have something that I can actually gain from you, because otherwise when we go into conversation, if we don't have that adaptive learning, mindset, we're actually just kind of setting the ceiling and saying, this is where I'm at, and I don't care to hear anymore. I don't want to learn anymore. This is, where I'm at. And I really appreciate that example. That's so good.
So good.
Yep. That's
so stay tuned.
Yeah, such a good word, because this is why many people aren't growing, because they get stuck in a certain mindset. There are 3 types of thinking. There is the compliant thinking. Okay, I understand the rules. I understand the standards. I understand what's expected of me, and so I'm going to behave in a way that I comply to those rules. Okay, and I'm not going to step outside of those things. All right, I'm not going to think for myself whatsoever. And then there's conviction thinking. Conviction thinking says, hey, I've learned some things. I've learned how to lead. I've learned some frameworks of, how to delegate, how to communicate. I've really learned some things, and I've learned to apply those things. So now I can lead more based on a framework and not have to worry about the policies and all that. Still honor those things, but I have the freedom and flexibility to think because I've learned and I've grown. But then most people get stuck there. Majority of people get stuck there. They go, okay, man, yeah, I've learned how to communicate. I've learned how to ask questions. I've learned how to delegate. I've learned how to do personal growth. The next level of thinking that very few people get to is catalytic thinking. Yeah. Catalytic thinking says, I'm going to remain curious and I'm going to remain open. But what happens is conviction thinking gets in the way because we think, oh, I've got it figured out. I got this framework that I use again and again and again, and it works for me. And it may work for you, but it keeps you from catalytic thinking, which is the greatest level of thinking, which will help you break through and continue to grow in the future. And so people get stuck in those different levels of thinking, and that conviction level is a dangerous one because that's when you've grown to a certain point and you just stop growing. That's right. And you think, I've made it.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, quick question. As you say that, it made me kind of look from an organizational standpoint, right? Lots of times psychological safety comes up and just the safety to be a catalytic thinker, right? And do you have the freedom within your organization? Because catalytic thinking involves potentially making some mistakes along the way. And so how would you speak to a larger organizational structure about how you introduce that catalytic thinking?
Yeah. If you're a large organization and you've not had that, you have to introduce it slowly and strategically. And because it takes time to reshape a culture, especially if you have a lot of people in that culture. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to start with everybody. Okay. I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to take me as the CEO, and I'm going to take, the first 10%, my executive team or my lead team, whatever. I'm going to start with them and say, hey, you guys, I want us to move towards this catalytic thinking. That means there's going to be more failure. That means there's going to be more ideas. That means there's going to be more collaboration. That means, those sort of things. But I love it. I think it's Google. I'm pretty sure it's Google that gives their employees what they call something like 10% time. And they said, we want you 4 hours a week thinking outside the box. We want you to find a problem and you solve it. Yeah. All right. That is creating a culture of catalytic thinking. Right. And especially when you say, man, there's a problem. I'm not going to solve it by myself. I'm going to pull 2 or 3 people in the team together and go, hey guys, there's a problem. Hey, during our, 10% time, let's see if we can come up with an idea. And then you teach them how to honor the leadership in that, but the leadership has to be open to the ideas. I was doing a consulting for a very, very large organization here in South Carolina, 3,000 people. And they gave me a room with 25 of their top young leaders and who were in their 20s. And I did a 2-day workshop with them. And then we brought the executive team in. Every single one of them, all 7 of them were over 60 years old. Wow. All right. Now, I took these young people through some exercises. And one of the exercises I did with them was I teach a process for organizations called Vision Scope. And it's a way to plan out the future vision, long range, mid range, and short range vision of an organization. So I took these young people and I said, you're going to build a vision scope. All right. I'm going to fire those people over there. All right. They're gone. You are now in charge. And you're building the vision scope for this organization. And so I gave them 2 hours. They worked on it. They filled out the chart. They had it all done. And then each team had to stand up and present it to those 7.
Wow.
Now, I had no idea what was going to happen because I'm guessing these guys have a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
They were blown away. They were like, there's some good ideas. There's some really good ideas. And so once you build that type of mindset and you begin to funnel that into your young people, watch out because listen, I'm 65 years old and young people come to me every once in a while. I had a young guy come to me a while back. He's 20 years old. He said, hey, will you mentor me? I said, yeah, if you will mentor me. What are you talking about?
Yes.
No. I said, listen. You don't live in my world anymore. I live in your world.
That's right.
This is an AI, high tech, social media world. I didn't grow up with that. Listen, I live in your world. You don't live in my world.
That's
so
right.
I need you to mentor me, and I'll mentor you. Two-way relationship.
So
good.
That I mean, that's crazy.
Wow.
But you're even alluding to the idea where you're leading yourself here, and one of your leadership principles is that leadership begins with leading yourself. So how does leading, or how does learning to encourage, ask questions, and truly listen help someone become a person worth following?
How does asking questions help somebody become a person worth following?
Yeah. How would you say that through that process here, you just become a person worth following when you're kind of pausing and reflecting and asking 20-year-olds, hey, tell me about this, because I don't know. So being adaptive in that sense.
Yeah. So growing people grow people. I developed a leader one time, and just before I sent him out on his own, he was like, Mac, what if the people under me don't grow? And I said, David, you don't worry about it. You just grow yourself, because growing people grow people. Now, here's the thing. If you're growing all the time, you can't help it. There is an overflow that comes out of you. Okay. Something I said earlier, I forgot what it was now, but something I said earlier, it's a new thought. It's something I've been learning, something I've been studying, something I've been writing down in my notes and trying to create, and so learning overflows. Unfortunately, many leaders stop learning because they made it to the position that they aspired to, so they stop learning. And so, man, that's sad, because there's no overflow spilling on the team. Now, when I'm growing, number one, I'm happier. Happy people. Growth creates happiness in your soul. All right. And second, growth creates credibility for the team around you. It gives me greater credibility. And third, it helps me shape a culture of growth as well. Here's what I've noticed. I don't have to tell my people to grow. If I'm growing, they just follow the example.
That's right.
I was invited to this really, really, really big church in California. 30,000 people, and I was meeting with their executive team. And so I go in, and there's 6 of them around the table. The senior leader, man, he's high D, intense personality. And I mean, there was no hi, welcome, how are you? Not warm and fuzzy. He sat down and said, all right, we got some challenges. We brought you in here. We need some help. All right, we need some help with leadership development. We got questions for you. And he just started firing. I mean, he just cut to the chase, started firing questions at me, and I'm answering. Whole time, this was an hour and a half meeting. Whole time, they're firing questions. He's sitting there, and he's just taking notes like crazy. And I looked around the table, and all 6 of them were taking notes. And I thought, I've never sat in a room like this where people ask me questions. Usually 1 or 2 people were taking notes. All 6 were taking notes. So the meeting ended. The guy that was hosting me, not the senior pastor, but the guy that was hosting me, walked out. We were walking down the hall, go get some lunch. I looked at him. I said, hey, can I ask you a question? Does the senior pastor make you guys take notes like that? He went, no. I said, every one of you were taking notes. He said, I never thought about it, but you're right. He said, we've just watched him do it for so many years that's what we did.
That's so
wow. That's amazing.
Never estimate the example of that you're setting for your people.
Look,
so many we want to develop them in a skill, a leadership skill, but we don't model that leadership skill.
Come on now.
But when you model it, it sticks. It reinforces it. I want to teach you this, but I want to model it for you the best I can, because that's what drives the nail deeper into the blade.
Mac, we need a part 2 with you.
I hate to cut everybody off here. Yeah, man, this could go for hours, but Mac Lake is actually.
I think Mac was just warming up.
Yeah, he's giving out a workbook, y'all. There's a QR code that we're going to post out here. This is the Multiplier SEO. So we're so thankful. So thank you once again for your time, Mac. You're just incredible. Go ahead there, Ernie.
Yeah.
Yes, Mac, this has been an amazing, amazing. I think we're just barely scratching the
Yes.
surface.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
it felt
It
like
was fun.
you're just warming up. But to our listeners and our audience, if this episode helped you, and I believe it definitely does, I'm taking notes myself.
Mm,
Don't just listen, use it, or share it with someone you know can take value out of it.
yeah, take one idea and act on it this week. EQ somebody. Share this with somebody who needs it, and like and subscribe to keep leveling up.
And Mac, hey, thank you again for
Yes.
spending time with us. Hey, listen, we want to add value to everyone on the other side of this podcast. Hey, listen, you can find our contact information below. Again, Mac is a person of value who wants to add
Yes.
value to you again. And I'm gonna text him on the side and ask for a I just can't get enough of this guy. Thank you again.
Yeah.
I know we're a little bit over today, but we'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Upward
Matt.
Bound Podcast out.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Woke up this morning, feeling the vibe, got my headphones on, ready to thrive. Voices in my ear, lifting me high, upward bound podcast, reaching for the sky.